Hi, my name is Addie Rayberger, and today I'm doing a book report on Good Girl, Bad Blood, written by Holly Jackson. I think the author chose this title to show two sides to the main character. The main character's name is Pippa Fitzamobi, but she goes by Pip throughout the book. On one side, Pip's like good girl side, her kind of golden girl, schoolgirl side, she's a very good student, she's very driven, very caring, just kind of a nerd altogether. And then on her other side, she's very opinionated and strong, and honestly this often leads her to wanting to get revenge, often putting herself and others in danger. So I think the author ultimately chose this title to just kind of show Pip's personality and different sides to her. So some major characters in the book are Pippa Fitzamobi, Ravi Singh, who is Pip's boyfriend slash love interest, Connor Reynolds, and Jamie Reynolds. Connor Reynolds is Pip's close friend, and Jamie Reynolds is Connor's older brother, who is around 24, I believe, in the book. And then the Reynolds family, so the mom and the dad, and Charlie Green and Flora Green, and then also Stanley Forbes. So to begin, Pip and her boyfriend Ravi in the previous book solved a murder case, which in Ravi's brother Sal was involved. He was murdered, unfortunately, and then another victim, her name was Andy Bell. So Pip solved this entire case ultimately for a school project. So they're at this, the beginning of the book, they're at this memorial for Ravi's brother Sal, and then also Andy Bell, who was another victim. And after this, memorial, Connor's brother Jamie goes missing. And it was very, very unexpected. And so Pip decides to take action because the police don't really do anything about it because he's not considered a high-risk case because he's 24, and he's also done things like that in the past where he's gone away and hasn't really contacted anyone. So Pip decides to take it into her own hands after a lot of consideration because in the last book she faced lots of dangerous challenges and got in a lot of dangerous situations and almost died, actually. And so after a lot of hesitation and consideration for her friend Connor, she decides to take on the case. So Pip starts kind of researching, getting witnesses, and Pip learns that Jamie went to a what they called a calamity party after the memorial, which is just a high school party. That's how we refer to it as. And it was kind of odd because Jamie is 24, and Pip described that a lot of the people at the calamity parties are only around 18 and sometimes even underage. And so we learned that at the calamity party, Jamie was actually trying to meet a catfish. And the catfish, we learned that he was trying to meet this girl because of a girl named Stella Chapman. Stella is not a really significant character, but she does explain that this catfish has been using her social media photos to catfish people. And so nobody really knows who this girl is, but she goes by Layla Mead or Med. And Pip goes and looks in her computer, has no idea who this girl is. And so then we learn that Jamie was really, really obsessed with this girl that he didn't know was a teenager because it was a catfish. And so he was kind of falling in love with her, to be honest. And so Jamie, unfortunately, was manipulated by Layla and was doing really out of character things that, so that was just really out of character for him. And we learn that he even was so manipulated that he started doing dangerous things. He broke into Charlie Green, Pip's neighbor, Charlie Green, his house, and was trying to steal money from Pip's mom's business and just all these horrible things. And he even steals a knife from the Reynolds house, from their kitchen. And it's later found by an abandoned farmhouse, which in the previous book, Andy Bell was actually discovered. Her body was found at the farmhouse. So it's just kind of a crazy area to be in. So Pip finds the knife with her like little search party, and she starts getting really concerned that something happened to Jamie. So then the middle kind of climax, Pip continues to interview people and gets leads on the catfish, and she learns that the catfish is targeting a specific group, kind of looking like Jamie. She also learns that her high school teacher was targeted. One of Jamie's friends, Nat, her boyfriend Luke, was also targeted. So they were having an affair. And Stanley Forbes, who is a local journalist. And then eventually, after a lot of investigation, after a lot of leads on the case, Pip realizes that she could like hack in or something, and she tried to, she finds a phone number, and she doesn't know that it's Stanley Forbes' phone number, but she finds this phone number, and she acts as the catfish, and she says, hey, meet me at the farmhouse at this time. And so when she arrives at the farmhouse, it's Stanley. And she's like, Stanley, what are you doing here? And he was like, oh, Pip, what are you doing here? I was here to meet this girl, Layla. And they were like, who is this Layla girl? And during this time, while Pip is meeting with Stanley at the farmhouse, Ravi and Connor are breaking into Stanley's house because they link Jamie for being there. So while Pip and Stanley are there, Ravi and Connor are at Stanley's house because from witnesses they learned that that's where Jamie was walking that night. So then, while that's happening, Charlie Green pulls up in a car to the entrance of the farmhouse. And they're like, Charlie, what are you doing here? And Pip's like, oh, I'm so sorry, my phone, and Charlie says, I'm so sorry, my phone died. I need to call my wife, Flora, so can I use your phone, Pip? And then he takes her phone and smashes it on the ground and pulls out a gun. And he said, Child Brunswick. And Child Brunswick was manipulated by his father. Child Brunswick was at the time a child that was used to lure kids to their to his father, who was a murderer. So he would take kids like from the playground and be like, oh, let's go over here, and his father unfortunately murdered them. And so Charlie reveals that Stanley Forbes is Child Brunswick. Stanley who is Child Brunswick, changed his identity so he could have a new life because he was manipulated by his father that was a murderer. So it's kind of a lot of backstory and a lot of context. But Stanley had no idea what was going on because he had a hidden identity, because he's really Child Brunswick. He's just trying to live a normal life. And we learn that Charlie was this entire time the catfish because he wanted to catch Child Brunswick and had a lead from a drug dealer, and the drug dealer revealed his identity. And so Charlie goes on a hunt, and that's why he was targeting all those different categories of people who like looked similar and would say Child Brunswick to see who reacted. And Stanley reacted because he was Child Brunswick. So, unfortunately, Charlie's sister was killed by Child Brunswick, also known as Stanley, his father, when they were very young. So now Charlie's out for revenge and unfortunately kills Stanley. And Pip is there this entire time. And so after all this, the police get there, and Charlie and his wife Flora had already fled the scene. And while all of this is happening, Jamie is discovered in Stanley's house because Jamie was manipulated by the catfish and was used to try to attack anyone that was like Child Brunswick. And so when he learned that Stanley was Child Brunswick, he tried to kill him for Layla. And so Stanley said, "I'm not going to kill you, but why are you trying to kill me? You can't reveal my identity." So he took Jamie and ultimately kidnapped him. And so Jamie is discovered later. So now responding to the question of which character do you think exhibited the most growth throughout the book, I said I think the character that experienced the most growth was Connor, because he went from being very unstable and very eager to find his brother, which is very understandable, but then he learns to trust in his friendship with Pip, and ultimately it leads him to be a more patient person, even in difficult circumstances. So in that aspect, I think he grew a lot. My favorite line in the book is, "If you want something done, you have to do it yourself." I like this quote because I think it shows that sometimes you have to work extra to accomplish something, and when things are going wrong, you sometimes have to make an impact yourself and stand up and make a change for what is right. And then if I had one thing I would want to change about the book, I think having not as confusing clues. I think that there were just too many characters in the book. I think there was just too much background, and so I think even explaining it, there's just so much information that it can honestly be confusing to explain to someone else, because without giving so much background on the situation. So it can be hard to just explain it. And then I think that some parts were a little bit slow, so I think maybe a quicker pace would have been a bit better. But overall, I thought the book was really great, and I would recommend it for anyone to read. Thank you so much.